What's up guys, Danielle here, neutralsupport.net. In my hands I have the Pedro's Pro Chain Whip. They don't focus a lot on their chain whip because they have the vice whip, the vice grip pliers that actually hold the cassette. So the chain whip, while cool, is not the intended focus of their R&D, definitely. But the reason that I like chain whips a lot. They seem pretty versatile, and this one actually has this nifty hook. So when you put it on the cog, you actually wrap the chain around, and then you can hook it into place so that it doesn't come off while you're using the tool. This part of the tool right here, up to that point, beautiful. Love it, keep it the same, don't want to change a thing. However, the handle is thin, super thin, hard to hold, not comfortable when you really have to put some torque on it. I've always thought that, I've never really liked it. So I was on Reddit.
Wow.
On the bike mechanic sub talking about tools, and it came up that another mechanic wraps theirs in grip tape, but I'd always thought about making a handle. And then all of a sudden I was like, why didn't I think of that? You already have a piece of metal here. Get some wood, put some pins in it, file it down or sand it down. Easy. So we're gonna do it. So all you need for this is the chain whip itself, piece of wood, the metal rod, and some glue, and some tools. So the length of the Plastidip here on this tool seems like a good enough length for the actual grip that we're going to create. So I'm going to use it as a guide, but first I'm going to remove it from the tool. So we have this now that we can actually use to get a length. We need 2 pieces of wood, 1 for each side of the tool. So now we have 2 pieces of wood, 1 for each side. So these are going to go on either side of the tool, and then we'll use them to make our handle. So by doing it this way, it's full tang, so metal goes all the way through still. That'll make sure that you have good leverage. You don't have to worry about breaking off the handle. If you buy nice kitchen knives, they call this full tang. Cheap kitchen knives will only go in a part of the way, or they'll be pretty narrow, but this will have metal all the way through. So the next step is to drill the holes. So I'm going to do 2 pins in this handle. First I'm going to drill the holes in the actual tool. Then I'm going to use that as a guide to drill holes in the wood for the pins. So now that I've got my holes, I'm going to use them to make the marks for the wood, and then I'm going to drill the holes in the actual wood as well. Since there's a lot of overlap here, we're not going to have to be super exact. They just need to attach on both sides. So there's a lot of overlap with the wood, so that we'll be able to take some off of both sides. So it doesn't have to be exactly perfect. So now we have our 2 blocks of wood, the holes in here, so we need to make the pins that go through. So the pin that's going through the handle, we need it to be the width of these 2 blocks of wood next to the tool, plus a little bit of excess because we're going to hammer the end to mushroom it so that each side stays in place, and that'll actually be holding the handle together. There'll be glue in that too, but the handle will be held together primarily by the pins. So I cut the 2 pins. They're just a little bit longer when everything's assembled. So what we're going to do is we're going to put some glue on the surfaces of this and on the pins themselves and drive them in. So the pins are through both sides, so we're done. Just kidding. So now that the pins are in, you can see they stick out a little bit on this side. They're pretty flush over here. So what we're going to do is actually put it on an anvil and hammer these back down. Then we can move on to shaping the actual handle. So there's that. So now let's get to shaping. So I had wanted to do this outside, but then it started thunderstorming, so we're just going to do it in the corner and hope I can keep all of the wood dust over here. Never going to happen. So now you get to be creative. So we have these blocks that are attached to the chain whip. You can make this whatever shape you want, which is the cool part. So I'm going to use this belt sander. I might step over to the grinder a couple of times depending on if these pins need to be shortened. I did tape the chain so that I don't get it into anything. I thought about it, so I thought, hey, probably better safe to tape this up than to leave it swinging around while you're trying to sand things. So we're going to give it a shot. And there it is. So not perfect, but dang, pretty good. Turned out pretty happy with it. So now there's some good grip here, so you can grab it and not feel the side of this tool in your hand. So 2 pieces of wood, a couple little metal aluminum pins, some glue, and about maybe an hour of shaping the handle. Pretty pleased with it. Thanks for watching. A couple of takeaways from making this. You need to have some drill bits that go through hardened steel to actually drill the holes. If you don't, you will not make it through. It'll be hard to do with a hand drill, even with a jig of some sort. I ended up using a drill press and then I rounded out the holes with my milling machine. You can use whatever you gotta use, but just make sure you have the right drill bit for the job. I also might have sized down the wood a little bit more before the handle just to reduce the amount of time that I had to grind off material. So I had to sand off so much material on this handle to get it to this size, but if you start with more than you need, you always know you have enough. If you try to get it really close, you might miss it. Part of the shaping process actually smooths out the rivets, so smooths out the pins that we put through the middle. You can see here the pins are nice and flush with the outside, so they're actually also expanded a little bit from that, so they're holding the wood along with the glue. I ended up just using regular Gorilla Glue because it seems to work pretty well to hold lots of materials together. That seems to work fine for me in the past. I've made one other handle, it still hasn't fallen apart, so hopefully this one won't either. I considered treating the wood. I might just leave it alone and see if the natural grease and oil of being a mechanic just takes care of that for me. I also have some linseed oil and some other stuff in the shop, so who knows? Maybe I'll treat it, maybe I won't, but for now, this is it. So if you like this quick video, subscribe to the channel for more. You can like it, comment below if you have any feedback or if you've done anything cool to modify your tools to work the way that you want them. Go head over to the website, there's some cool swag, helps us keep making the videos, helps us eat dinner, helps us pay rent, all that good stuff. But as always, I hope you have a good day.